I'm a social worker here at Thamesview Family Health Team, and very often we have parents come in who are very concerned about certain things that are happening with their children. And a very common one that we hear very frequently is that their kids are very anxious about something, whether it's going to bed by themselves or doing something new. Maybe they've had some conflict at school, or they're having a difficult time with other children. Any number of scenarios, and believe it or not, some of the advice that we give is applicable to all these different situations. It's not necessarily specific to the situation. So what I'd like to talk to you about very briefly is just some ways that you can coach your child to manage these situations on their own, and hopefully that will help you feel less anxious as a parent, and hopefully it will help them to learn to manage these things, because these are really important life skills. So I have someone who's going to help me by asking me some of the questions that a parent might typically ask. So you'll hear his voice. His name is Graham. He's a social worker here. He's our mental health lead social worker here at Thamesview Family Health Team as well. And so he's going to help me by asking some of the questions, and hopefully this will be good information.
So Brenda, what do I do? My child is really worried about having a problem with one of her friends at school.
Well, first of all, I think it's really normal for kids to have those kinds of experiences and to feel that way. So you don't want to say, "Oh, don't feel like that," because that's silly. They're going to feel that way. So we want to normalize how they feel. We want to listen to what they're saying, and then we want them to sort of help us to come up with ways to help them. And so, first of all, normalize the feeling, get them to talk a little bit about it, maybe together problem solve with ways that they can think about handling it themselves first. And so get your child to sort of talk a little bit more about that, and then go from there. So in particular, I'm trying to think. So if you have...
What is a good plan? Like you mentioned, creating a plan. What would a plan be?
A plan that is first of all doable, so it's something that the child would think that they would be able to do, so something that's realistic. It needs to be practical and something that they can actually do. And sometimes it's even helpful if we can role play with our kids. I don't know, it's sort of a little bit of, so if your friend says this to you, what might you say to them? And just to sort of talk very normally about this, but help your child realize that it's a pretty normal thing to feel a little bit anxious about something if it hasn't gone well one day.
So it's okay for me to kind of pretend with my child and say, so if this person calls you a rat, what are you going to say if they say it again tomorrow? Right.
It's good to sort of talk with your child like that and role play with them, and think of scenarios or think of possible things that they can say to the child. We don't want to promote violence or anything like that, but we want to sort of help the child to assertively or to respond to a child in a situation that they're comfortable with. And that gives them a sense that they have some power in the situation, that they're not little, that it isn't scary, or it might be scary, but that they can handle it. I think that's the best message of all, is that, you can do this. If we practice this a little bit at home, you're going to be able to go to school tomorrow and talk to your little friend, and you're going to be able to do this, and you'll feel good about doing this.